Hello, welcome everybody. Today is going to be a little more serious than yesterday's video about supernatural demons and ghost experiences and stuff. Got a little bit of feedback, and they were about 50-50. Half of them were good, the other half were bad. But, I was able to help some people out, and, some people shared some information about what happened to them, and they had similar type experiences. So it was a pretty good video. I think anyway. But I really had fun doing it. But today we're gonna be a little bit more serious. All right. Today we're gonna talk about false preachers and lukewarm Christians. People who claim to be Christian but really have no idea what they're talking about, which is 99.9% of people who say they're Christian don't even know what the Bible actually says. Well, at all. They just carry the Bible to church with them and let the preacher talk, and they just sit there and don't even open the thing. Their Bible still got dust all over it, that kind of thing. Now, the problem is, you got preachers that are absolutely lying to you. Jesus called them wolves in sheep's clothing. Inwardly, they're ravenous wolves. All right? These are people like the preachers we got down here at this Baptist church I've been going to up here, talking about do what the government says to do. It's God ordained the government over you. Well, after the service, I went up there and I pulled them aside. I was like, hey, God upholds the law of the land. He goes by the law of the land. And the law of our land is the Constitution that was inspired by God. And everyone who takes oath of office holds up their hand and says, I promise to uphold these truths and protect this Constitution. And the last four words of this oath, whether you're a political office or a military soldier, is so help me God. So therefore, you promise God you're going to defend these principles. So God's going to hold them accountable for that. So the government we have right now is totally ignoring our constitutional rights and lying to you and don't want you to have any freedom and liberty at all. So I'm sure God did not ordain this government over us because He'd ordain a government that would at least uphold the law that they promised. If they promise to do something, then you have to do it. You can't just promise and then not do it because God's going to hold you accountable. You say, God, I promise you I'm going to do this. You better do it because you promised God you're going to do it. That's way more than a handshake with a neighbor, but you should also do that too. It's called honor and integrity and just being human. But anyway, long story short, these preachers are straight lying to you. Now, they're probably doing it for money. Jesus said you can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and mammon, which means money. So these people are about the money. Let's say you got some people in church who man's cheating on his wife. The preacher knows it. He ain't going to say anything about it, do a sermon about how it's bad to commit adultery or bad to do any of these things. Because this person pays in a lot of money in that offering plate. He got to get that nice fat paycheck. So he's just going to say all these nice fluffy things to make everybody feel good and fill that little offering plate up full of money. And he's okay. But now things get a little bit tough and things get a little bit hard. The churches go emptier and emptier and emptier. Pardon my language, I shouldn't be talking like this, but I ain't no preacher right now anyway. The reason why churches are going emptier and emptier and emptier is people realize the preacher is full of shit. All right, yeah, that's right, Mr. Preacher, you're full of shit. All right, and they know it, so they leave. But the bad thing is when they realize the preacher is full of shit and they leave, they throw the Bible out with it. Well, all this Christianity thing must just be an absolute lie, and they throw it out. Like, well, that ain't truth. So now they're looking around the world looking for the truth because they think that the Bible is not true because the preacher is an absolute liar. Now, that's not right. It's not right at all for y'all to be preaching lies and telling everybody lies and then get them to not want to believe in God at all because you want to pad your pocketbooks. All right? God's holding everybody accountable for stuff like that. All right? Y'all need to man up and do what's right. All right? I tell you what, there's more people who actually believe in God, that read their Bible and try to get to know God, that don't go to church. Because when they read their Bible, let's say Matthew 24, verses 1 through 12, what the preacher said, go verse 1 through 12. And he'll give a whole sermon of absolute horse hooey all right, and telling a lie. But the funny thing is, you might not know it right away. You listen to what he's saying, like, it sounds right. But if you just want to keep reading past verse 12, start reading 13, 14, and 15 in the same book that he's giving you his sermon out of, 13, 14, 15, all past his sermon section, it's totally saying what he just told you was an absolute lie. So people get up and they leave. Or people come in there and say, hey, I believe this way. Or I believe something a little bit different. Or somebody over here believes something different. All kind of biblical things. Like you got Baptists, you got Pentecostals, you got Catholic, you got Jehovah's Witnesses, which I don't exactly agree with. But all of them have good, valid points. Instead of us fighting over the little small differences, we ought to get together on what we do know to be true. Even the Muslim people believe in a creator God. The funny thing is, the word, this is just a word, not the name, but the word Allah actually just translates to the word God. Kind of like the Spanish people, their word rojo means red. Okay, that's just how do you say red? It's rojo. So if you read a Bible and it's written in Arabic, the Bible will say the Lord Allah, which just means the Lord God. All right, and then we get mad. Oh, his name's not Allah. It's Yahweh or Yeshua or Jesus or I am, or it's Jehovah. God doesn't care what you think the Creator's name is, as long as you're worshiping the Creator. Okay. Now, of course, we're saved by the blood of Jesus Christ, but we sure don't act like we appreciate it very much. Most people out here being Christian just like to pretend like they're Christian and keep on doing things that's wrong. Anyway, something else that makes me upset when I'm talking about these lukewarm Christians. Don't never do this. Everybody does it, and it irritates the crap out of me when you give me a Bible one verse. Like you want to argue with somebody. They give you a good document, you give a good speech. They're like, well, here's one verse out of the Bible that they pulled out from somewhere, and it contradicts what you say. It's just one little verse, right? I'm like, why don't you read the whole chapter around that verse? It's kind of like saying, let's say, I went to the grocery store the other day, and there was a bag of black-eyed peas in my shopping cart. Well, I didn't like black-eyed peas, so I took them out and threw them on the floor. Nasty things. If someone had said that as they were feeling, and it hadn't been the Bible, and the person threw his black-eyed peas on the floor, oh no, the black-eyed peas are for the devil. The Bible said he threw them on the floor. That ain't what it says. That's just part of a story. So you pull out any sentence out of any story, you can make the book look like whatever you want it to look like. This is just retardation of people who say they're Christian. Right? Just get the love of Jesus in your heart. And for you preachers, y'all need to actually preach the truth. No matter how much money somebody puts in your pocket, how much political pressure you're getting. The preacher I had up here talking about, trying to encourage everybody to get the vaccine. Whether you want it or don't want it, or believe it's going to work, or believe it's not, or believe it's the mark of the beast, whatever you want to believe, the preacher don't have no right to try to tell you the government says so you have to go and do it. To him, he's a freaking shield. Anybody that says that is not on your side. And you call him out, tell him he's the devil. The devil is trying to destroy your church, destroy your faith. And he's winning pretty good because our heart ain't right. We're doing so many things wrong, we don't even know what right is anymore. So, time to start doing what's right. All right, if we get together one person at a time and bring people together under the love of Jesus Christ, get to understand what he wants. Not what we want, but what he wants. Then we start moving forward and bring our country back. All right, but it takes one person at a time. Leave the bigger the church is, the bigger the church, the bigger the liar is leading that church. Not saying all preachers are liars, but I'm going to say 75% of them are. 75% of them are. And half of them know that they're lying. The other half just been trained to tell you things they think is true. That's not true. It's not their fault. They've been trained by a seminary to give them doctrines of horse hooey, and they believe it. So they go there and preach it. Later on they realize, hey, this seminary gave me a bunch of hooey to preach. And then they just quit being a preacher and they walk away instead of trying to correct correct it and try to do the right thing. So that's between them and God. But preachers, y'all being judged a lot harder than the people you're leading. But you're leading people down a real bad path. It's making me upset, making a lot of the other Christians upset. Let's just start bringing Christians in and talking about the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and bring them over with love. Not a convicting finger or being upset and angry at somebody, but just do your daggone job. That's all I got to say.